If you could have a drink with anyone in the theater world, who would it be? I'm Anthony Caporale, and I'm running through my list. Each week, I'll sit down with cast members, bartenders, and personalities from New York's theater district and get a behind-the-scenes look at what it's like to live, work, and play on Broadway. Come have a drink with us on Broadway Bartender. Welcome to Broadway Bartender. My name is Anthony Caporale, and we are here at New World Stages in the heart of Manhattan's Theater District, home to my show, The Imbible, A Spirited History of Drinking. And today we're going to do a very popular version of a drink that we've made several times. It's a martini. We've done, I think, a dirty gin martini. We've done some darker martinis. I'm going to do a classic vodka martini for our first guest. And as usual, you will understand why when you see the show that we're going to be talking to. But I'm going to start with a mixing tin about halfway full of ice, and I'm going to go ahead and use some Crystal Head vodka, and I'm going to do about 2 ounces per drink of vodka and about a ½ ounce per drink of dry vermouth. And then I'm going to shake this up really, really well, because I like my martinis the way Mr. Bond likes his martinis, shaken, not stirred. Couple of advantages to shaking the drink. One, it chills it down a little bit more quickly. 2, it introduces ice chips, which are like little mini ice cubes, and it keeps the drink colder longer. But my favorite thing about shaking the drink is that it adds air bubbles, which you can see, and those act as little flavor capsules that then pop and keep that flavor in your mouth and going up to your nose, so you really get a little bit more intense flavor experience. Releases all those nice botanicals in the vermouth. So I'm going to go ahead now and strain this into 2 martini glasses. And again, you can see those air bubbles in there, which I just love. And then I'm going to top it with 2 cocktail olives on a pick and serve it to our special guest this week, Mr. Arnie Burton from the Government Inspector. How are you, sir?
I am fine now.
You look fascinated by that drink.
I am, because I've never had one before.
Now, you mentioned to me when we were talking earlier that you're not a big drinker, right?
No, I'm not. All
right, so this is sort of a big drinker's drink.
Yes, it is. It's a big man's drink.
It is. Let's do a little cheers. So first of all, thank you so much for coming.
Thanks for asking me.
And tell me what you think.
All right. Well, that is the best vodka martini I've ever had.
Wow. Okay, so
it is my first vodka
martini. We're 1 for 1 then.
My only vodka martini.
I love it.
But it is the best. I can't imagine it'll ever get better. No, actually, I have had another martini before, and it was super strong. And I found it. Whoa, this is actually really nice.
Thank you so much. And again, nice. Another advantage of shaking.
I'm all warm right here. I just hit my mic, but I'm very warm.
When you shake the drink over ice like that, you actually get the ice melts pretty quickly, and you get some dilution. That's really, really important. You don't really.
And I'm also big on the visuals. I loved that you shaking it, and I loved that it was like had a beautiful kind of color. Cloudy
it's
color
dynamic, right?
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah, thank you. Great. Okay, awesome. So we're off to a good start.
Yes.
Okay, so the Government Inspector.
Keep talking.
So first of all, we're neighbors now. You just moved here to New World Stages with us.
Yes.
And you guys are just making a huge splash. I mean, rave reviews all over the place. New York Times. Talk to me about the show. So, all right, so first, let's clue in our guests. Why did I pick a drink with vodka in it? The whole show takes place in Russia, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's an updated kind of it's a classic Russian play, but very funny. It's a classic comedy by Gogol, and Jeffrey Hatcher has adapted it into a kind of like vaudeville Borscht Belt. Carol Burnett meets Monty Python. It's so funny. I can't tell you. There's like literally there's like a joke every other line. But he's amazing because he's able to tell the story of this very corrupt town that where everyone is corrupt and kind of joyously so, and then then they hear that a government inspector is coming into town, so they say, oh, we got to clean our stuff up. So, but it's a classic comedy mistaken identity, because the person they think is the government inspector is not the government inspector, and is someone possibly even more corrupt than they. So it's like how all that happens, and it's just so funny. So that Jeffrey Hatcher, the guy who did the adaptation, has managed to tell this story, yet still managed to like craft some of the best jokes I've ever had the privilege of saying in a play before.
So now, talk a little bit about. So you mentioned it's a classic play that exists as a thing in the world, and it was written when?
Oh, in the 1830s, maybe. Yeah.
And I'm sure very politically relevant for its day.
Oh yeah. It was actually once it was performed, it was some people obviously loved it, and it was banned in some places because it really takes to task how corrupt the government can be, and probably usually was, and still is.
Yeah. Okay. So so now when you have a work like that exists and has been around for that long, you mentioned that he now updates, and this is the founding director of Red Bull Theater. Who did the adaptation?
Jeffrey Hatcher, who's a brilliant playwright in his own right, who's written plays, and he also adapts plays. I actually had done a play he did earlier. He adapted the book Confederacy of Dunces, a brilliant adaptation of that. So he's quite adept at taking well-known plays and then kind of giving them, because the original Government Inspector lasts almost 3 hours. So Jeffrey was able to like slash and burn, cut like an hour out of it. So now it runs on just under 2 hours, and it's, as I said, the other adaptations of it, while it's a comedy, were never quite funny enough. I think that's what stopped it from being revived more often. And Jeffrey, I think, has written just a brilliantly funny version of it.
And that's the thing that I keep hearing over and over again about this production is how intensely funny it is. Just literally, like, you just don't stop laughing through the whole show.
It is one of those, and it's honestly really nice. And you also have a cast full of like just the best comedians in New York, comedic actors in New York City right now. And so, and I think we all were attracted to this material because we read it on the page and we go, oh my God, this is funny stuff. So, so you put that all together, and it's a fun evening.
Okay, so I mentioned the Red Bull Theater. That's who's currently producing this, and the artistic director, I think, directed it. Is that
Jesse
right?
Berger?
That's who I was thinking. Okay, so he did not do the adaptation. He
just directed
staged it. Okay, great. So now, when you have a show like that exists, obviously, and it's updated, he cut an hour. Can you actually add lines? I mean, what is considered?
Not supposed to. There's a couple embellishments we've added ourselves to the cast that we've found, but no, it's pretty much Jeffrey's words. But you know, if you had Gogol's script on one side and Jeffrey's, it's telling the same story, but they're all Jeffrey's words.
Okay, so he literally just retold the story that Gogol had told. Okay.
Yeah.
So all brand new text.
Yeah.
Great. Okay, terrific. And so the dialogue is updated. All of everything's sort of modernized. So there won't be any language issues or anything like that. Like watching Shakespeare is like, what is that?
No, like I said, it's just like good old kind of like Mel Brooks kind of like classic comic lines and situation. You know that. And he's just updated because, you know, humor changes during the year, and what may have been funny in 1830 is not necessarily would be funny now. So it's just while it's still set then, the comedy itself and the take on it is much more contemporary.
So you mentioned the rest of the cast. Who else is in the show?
It's Michael Urie. He's our government inspector, and there's Michael McGraw. There's Mary Testa, myself, Stephen DeRosa. Other funny people, Kelly Hutchison, Talene Monahan. There's so many. It's a cast of 14, which you don't see much off Broadway.
No.
And so and everyone in the cast, it's amazing because there's a lot of characters in the play, and everyone has like moments of showcasing everybody.
Wow. Yeah. And like I said, it's just getting rave reviews. Ben Brantley wrote you a love letter in the Times, called you out personally. Yeah. I think he called you chameleonic.
Very good. Yeah, I didn't even know that word existed.
I didn't either, but
well,
you know.
I play these two characters that are completely different. And I've done that a lot. I've done plays like 39 Steps and Peter and the Starcatcher, and I've done a lot of plays where I'm the guy that plays like all the different roles. So I'm used to that, and I actually love it. You know.
That seems to be a very good skill to have, especially in the off-Broadway world.
Especially, all over. It's like, because in the olden days, like in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, you know, they'd have these big casts, but they would never have like, they would have a big cast and everyone played like one role.
Right.
And so, but now they want to do, if you want to do one of these older plays that had big casts, or you want to write more characters, but it's cost prohibitive to have like too big of a cast.
Absolutely.
So it's in demand to have character actors that can kind of shift and do those things. So I feel kind of lucky to have found that niche.
That's amazing. We use that all the time. I mean, all of our shows are 4 people, and they each play a minimum of half a dozen characters each.
And it's so much fun too.
It really,
because especially if you do a long run. I did a long run of 39 Steps for like 2 years, but it never got boring because I was always like either on stage doing one character and then running off, changing into another character, coming back on as another one, you know, and so it stops it from being boring. It's just fun.
So now you mentioned that you the long run on 39 Steps. You did Amadeus for like 3 years.
Well, no, actually, well, I did it for. It was my first big job when I moved to New York. I was just a little slip of a thing, and I did the national tour, and then they asked me, and it was my Broadway debut, and then they asked me to join the Broadway company for like 6 months. So I did it for like a year and a half.
Okay, but long runs seem to be something you've been able to manage in your career.
Yeah.
What's the secret? I mean, this is every actor's dream, is to put together a working career.
I know. I've been really lucky, but I have to say there was a long time between Amadeus, which I got when I first came to New York, because I was stupid. I didn't know what a casting person was or how to be nervous or anything. I was literally, you know, it's one of those things where a little less knowledge is sometimes good. And then I went through a period where it's like, oh, okay, I've got to relearn how New York works. And then I have been very lucky, you know, things like 39 Steps and Peter and the Starcatcher and other shows where it's enabled, you know, in those long runs. And I recognize, like, especially for plays don't tend to run long. And so I've been very lucky in finding plays that have had a nice life. And when I'm in the middle of them, I go, this is rare. I'm going to stay with it. I'm going to make the money. I'm going to save up for my house. And that's what we did.
So producers out there, if you would like a long run to your show, cast Arnie,
Yes.
and apparently that's a secret. I mean, the ones that you named are unbelievable. You know, 39 Steps, tremendous run there. Peter and the Starcatcher, which I actually saw, amazing show and another great story. You know, really, really incredible. So these projects, do you tend to come on early in the project's lifespan, or do you kind of join them? Have you joined them sort of during fully realized runs, or how's that work?
Usually, hopefully, most times I'm in at the beginning. You know, sometimes you'll just do a reading of a play. Someone will call you up and say, "Can you come do this reading of a play?" And that reading will lead to another reading, which will lead to a workshop, which will lead to the production, and then you're employed for the next 2 years. Things like 39 Steps had been a big success in London. And so that was already a set thing. And then when they cast the American cast, I was the first cast of that. Peter and the Starcatcher had been workshopped out in La Jolla, and I wasn't in that. But when they did off-Broadway, they asked me to join the cast. And so it really depends, yeah.
Wow, that's, and if I'm saying this right, Machinal, is that right? Machinal.
Yeah.
Tell us about that. That seems like an incredibly
That was an incredible experience. It was directed by this amazing British director, Lindsay Turner, that was completely inspiring to be a part of. It's one of the things I'm most proud of. I think it was an incredible play, and it was just an incredible production full of amazing people. It was, it was really a real highlight.
What's the show about?
Oh, that was a play. Also, because I'm a fan of true crime. It's like I love, if there's a book on true crime or if there's any kind of series that's true crime, I am in. And so this was based on this woman in the 1920s that killed her husband, and it was at the time the crime of the century, because then the trial was heavily covered in the newspapers, and she had, it turns out, a lover, and they both kind of conspired to kill the husband. And this play is kind of a fictionalized version of that play, but says a lot about women and the women at that point in time. This is in the 1920s, and women were just starting to discover their sexuality and and burst out of kind of the Victorian times, and so the play is kind of about that. Yeah, it's an amazing play.
Wow. Now, you mentioned Amadeus, your first big job when you came to New York. Where were you coming from?
Oh, I was coming from Tucson, Arizona.
Really?
Yeah. Born in Idaho, and then we moved to Tucson, Arizona, and then to New York.
What makes someone from Tucson decide I'm gonna move to New York and audition for Amadeus?
Yeah, I don't know. Because I was a freak. I was like, no, I no. And when I say that, I mean it completely. I was like this shy, weird kid. I didn't have any friends like for my first I would say through like junior high, because I was just too shy and I was all in my own little world. But I always wanted to do theater. It was kind of my way. My mom always said it was my way of connecting with the world, because I couldn't do it personally. So by being in theater, I was able to connect. So for me, and there is no history of it in my family at all, of anything remotely like that. We're farmers from Idaho, so there was nothing. But it was, and once I discovered it, it was like, oh, this is a way I can connect to people and be part of a community. And so then, like in high school, I started being in drama there, and then went to University of Arizona, and then got a group of friends that way. And then my shyness just kind of dissipated because I had found something that kind of like enabled me to connect. So it was always my dream to come here. I never wanted to go to LA. It was always New York. It was always to be a part of a theater. It was never really even to be famous. That never drove me. It was always to be part of a community of people that were doing the same thing. And I found it here.
Wow, because you do not strike me as someone who was ever shy. You're extremely gregarious and friendly.
Yeah,
and,
now I am. And I have my moments. I'm definitely, like they say, there's extroverted people and introverted people. I'm definitely an introvert. And they say introverts need to like be by themselves to recharge, where extroverts they recharge the battery by being among people. I'm definitely one that needs to go away, read a book, be quiet.
And then you can get up in front of
finish
people
my vodka martini
and do what you do.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Did you study acting in school?
Yeah, University of Arizona.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Good program.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, congratulations. Just an incredible career. So, Government Inspector here at New World Stages opens when?
Well, we kind of have we already opened, so it's just kind of we're transferring to this theater. So we've been playing now for 2 weeks, which has been hugely successful here, and we're thrilled. And we kind of reopened tonight, and then we're playing through August 20th.
Through August 20th.
Yeah, we have to end August 20th.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Well,
so we have 5 more weeks as of this taping.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
So come check it out, New World Stage, the Government Inspector, and you can do a little double feature with the Imbible if you want. Show times are what? 8 o'clock?
You almost usually 8. We do Saturday at 2, I think, or 2:30, and Wednesday. Yeah, but in the evenings it's at 8.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Feel like making a drink?
I would love to.
All right,
okay,
awesome.
Be very patient with me.
This is going to be easy breezy for you.
Okay,
why don't you switch places with me, and I'll walk you right through it.
Okay. So you're not going to be standing with me?
No.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to be here.
Okay.
Okay. So we're going to stick with the theme, and we're going to do a Black Russian, which is a really classic drink. And it's literally just vodka and Kahlua, which is coffee liqueur from Mexico. Actually, most people don't know, made with a rum base. So really, I'm going to make the construction. It's really easy.
Great.
You have 2 rocks glasses there, and there should be an ice scoop on the shelf on your left. Yep. And just go ahead and fill those up with ice.
All the way up?
All the way up. We always want to fill our glasses all the way with ice. Great. And then you have a bottle of Crystal Head vodka right there.
Love it.
And we're going to do just 1 ounce of vodka. So you're going to pour and count to 2.
That's how you do it.
That's how you do it. Yep.
1, 2.
Perfect. And then another one.
1, 2.
Great. And then in front of the ice well, in what's called the speed rail, you have a bottle on your right, just an unmarked bottle, and we put our Kahlua in there.
Where? Here?
Right there, yep.
Okay.
And you can do the exact same thing. You're just going to do 1 ounce. So just 1, 2. You can do a little bit more.
No more?
You want to get that bottle straight up and down if you can.
Okay,
Good.
gotcha. 1.
That's perfect. And now we have a bar spoon. You can put that down. Our bar spoon right here.
This.
Yep. And you're going to use the back of it. Yep. And just give it a little stir. And then a little stir. And if you don't get ice on the bar, you're not working hard enough. So great job.
Good
Fantastic. And that is all there is.
That's it?
That's it.
I could do that.
I know, that's what I'm saying.
It doesn't get a garnish or anything?
No, it's just Black Russian, man.
It's not like it's a man's drink.
Exactly.
That sounds sexist, but it's like
Cheers. Let's see what you think of that.
Okay, now see, I really like this because, as I was telling you, I love a good tiki drink because it's like those are always, you can't taste the liquor so much.
Right.
You can't taste it so much in
Nope.
here. It's very sweet and nice. I could easily drink a few of these.
I love it. Arnie, thank you so much.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
Arnie Burton from the Government Inspector. This is a good drink, apparently. Right here at New World Stage's website for the show
Is redbulltheater.com, something
Great.
like that? Yeah, that sounds
and also
right.
you can get it, I'm sure, on the New World Stage's website.
Yeah, you go to Telecharge.
Great,
Yeah,
awesome.
Come right here to the box office. There's all kinds of great discounts. There's no reason why anyone could afford to come see it.
I love it. And personal site, people want to follow you, find out more about you.
Like a person. I'm on the Facebook, but I don't do
The
like the
Facebook.
The Facebook. I don't have my own site. People they'll find me if they need to find me.
Apparently working on and off Broadway forever. Arnie, congratulations. Thank you
sir.
so much for coming and joining us on
it's
Broadway
my
Bartender.
pleasure.
Folks, check us out, BroadwayBartender.com. Recipes, links, drink well, drink responsibly. Very nice.
Really good.
It's good, right?
Really, it's super good.
I know.
I don't even drink coffee either, and that's so good.
The Imbible Day Drinking. This is our fourth version of the Imbible. This is the very first time that we've done an original musical, but it's also completely character-driven. There's a story. The original show is very much, people called it like a musical TED Talk.
Good way of describing it.
Yeah, I think so. But this is very much a show to the extent that we can also be educational, which we always are. What was it like working on an original off-Broadway musical?
It was crazy. Well, it was exciting, I think, because there's a lot of things.
A lot of feelings.
No, it was fun because it's sort of like you come into rehearsal and you do the scene, and then it's like, okay, that night at 3 a.m. we're getting emails like, here's the new script, and I'm like, wait, what? It was an interesting experience to get to try new things while we're also creating this musical.
Right.
And sort of what it's going to be, and then also learning to bartend.
Yeah.
Like,
You also have
at
to
the end
do
of the
that
day, yeah, we
when you're
had
learning
a
about it.
woman ask about it. She was like, did you guys know how to bartend before you started this? And I said, absolutely not. Not even a little bit, but we had a fearless leader, thank God.
What is it that makes the Imbible unique? How would you like kind of sum up the Imbible, the day drinking experience?
I mean, it's unlike any other show you're ever gonna see. You're ever gonna see. Like I tell my friends, I was like, it's just a lot of fun. It's hard to describe, but Josh, our musical director, said it was like the Magic School Bus TV show.
An alcoholic magic school
Yeah,
bus.
for adults. You get on this bus and you're on this ride, you really don't know where you're going, and all of a sudden you're in it to win it and you're loving every moment of it.